tell you, gentlemen, science has agreed that unless something is done and done quickly, man, as the dominant species of life on Earth, will be extinct within a year. By direction of the President of the United States, stay in your homes. I repeat, stay in your homes. Your personal safety, the safety of the entire city, depends upon your full cooperation with the military authorities. Yes, cities, nations, even civilization itself, threatened with annihilation. Because in one moment of history-making violence, nature, mad, rampant, wrought its most awesome creation. For born in that swirling inferno of radioactive dust were things so horrible, so terrifying, so hideous. There is no word to describe them.
We may be witnesses to a biblical prophecy come true, and there shall be destruction and darkness come up in creation, and the beast shall reign over the earth.
Yes, the earth, the skies above and the seas below, infested by swarms of nightmare creatures, crueler, deadlier than the armored giants of prehistoric eras. Here is a wild, headlong flight into terror, as the desert erupts with the grim battle for survival. Here is a fear-frenzied moment of suspense, as mankind totters before a thing that multiplies faster than it can be killed. Here is a desperate plunge into the black depths of the earth, where human courage challenges the brute force, the slashing jaws, the poison fangs that guard the subterranean nest where the beast spawns its terrible progeny. To all units, condition red. Drain 267 is the target area. Repeat, condition red. Drain 267 is the target area. Type of gas we could use? No, we can't take a chance. It might poison the whole city.
And good morning, everybody. Welcome to the 31 Days of Monsters. I'm your host, Graham Nolan, and we have a bonus day because yesterday I tried to do this super chat thing that they had on there, and I figured it out because there was no option to use the super chats. And if you remember when I got demonetized a little while back, evidently when they reinstated it, that they turned off the super chats and stickers and all that kind of stuff. And I had no idea that was a thing, So yesterday I found out that it wasn't even available. So I went in and turned it on, and Stealth 5 shows us it's working. Thank you, Stealth X5. And it's because of you and Robert that we have our bonus day today. Many, many thanks. So I wanted to pick a classic, that I think is universally loved. And so for our bonus movie, I picked Them. I watched this last night for Halloween. We had it on when the kids were ringing the doorbell and stuff like that. And this is the first and the greatest of the giant insect movies in the 1950s. Such a great cast. You got, oh my gosh, can't remember his name now. Not Stuart Whitman. Well, you guys know the cast. But this movie is so intelligent, I think. They're dealing with a ridiculous subject matter of these giant ants. And they handle it in such a way that you believe it. The animatronic ants that they use. I think they built 3 of them. So you never see more than 3 at any one time. But they came out great. They still hold up today. James Whitmore is who I was thinking of. I think he was an Academy Award winner, and James Arness are in this. I can't remember who the girl is. I was wondering about her last night because she's really beautiful and she's great in this movie. I wondered what other stuff she's been in. I haven't had a chance to look her up yet. But when they're down in the ant chamber, and she sees that the eggs have opened up, and she tells them to burn it, and they're incredulous. They're like, "Huh, what?" And she goes, "Burn it." She says it with such authority. It was really, really great. It gave me chills when she does that. It was really cool. Joan Weldon says Venom Bite. Okay, yeah, I got to look her up. One of the funniest scenes for me, and it always sticks out, is when the professor is telling the brain trust, if you will, that they've even spotted ants, normal size ants, up in the stratosphere. And that always cracked me up. It's like, how would you spot an ant in the stratosphere? I couldn't spot an ant on my stairs, which are 20 feet away, let alone up in the stratosphere flying at 500 miles an hour. How the hell could they spot an ant up there? And nobody bats an eye. Nobody says, how did you find an ant up there? If there was an ant squashed on a wind shield of a plane, could have been when it was most likely when he was taken off, but nobody bats an eye about that, that just cracked me up. The other thing that I always wondered about was when they're going into the tunnels, James Arness, all the Army guys are there, and James Arness and James Whitmore are not wearing helmets. They're wearing the liners of the helmet. And it looks very weird to me, especially on James Arness, because he's such a big guy. I think so. It looks like a little skull cap on him. Why he wasn't wearing the helmet, unless it was casting too much shadow on his face as a and as a star of the movie, that they didn't want to have to deal with that. But that always jumped out at me. And Julie was like, "Well, how can you tell that that's just the liner?" It's like, "Oh, you can tell. There's rivets on it, and you can see that there's no layer, there's no separation when you look underneath it." But I always wondered about that. Why? What? I could never find any answers for that. So anyway, this is a wonderful film. I love it. I watch it every year. It's in my top, probably my top 5, possibly top 10 sci-fi horror movies. It's definitely in the top 10. We got The Thing from Another World, Them, Day the Earth Stood Still. Let's see, what else from the 50s do I love? This Island Earth, When Worlds Collide. Those are 5 right there that I really love. Forbidden Planet's not one of them, by the way. I know a lot of people love that movie. I find it a bore fest. Hey, 200 Watt Studios, thank you for that super chat. This film is fantastic. Witty dialogue. Talking to the doctor about the witness, Arness says, "We'll let you know when he's feeling good enough to leave." Yeah, I like that. Here's this government guy. Like, they're going to remember when all this shit is over with. That I said to Julius, I said, that poor bastard's going to stay there the rest of his life, waiting on the government to release him. Another funny thing is, and they make it up later on, but up until the point where they get to Los Angeles, the movie's sort of small. You've got a general who is flying the helicopter and who's digging holes and carrying, thermite bombs or whatever, the phosphorus. He's helping. He's helping with the cop, who's a local cop, shoot a bazooka. It's like, we just heard the doctor say to everybody, this could be the very end of humanity as the dominant species on the planet. And uh, and we got 5 people taking care of it. You know, when they get to L.A., then you got all the troops and stuff, and then it feels bigger to me. You know, I'm sure it was budgetary. You know, why there wasn't, you know, federal agencies and more military in New Mexico dealing with that. But you know, hey, it's a 50s B movie. You know, you can't. It doesn't impact the greatness of this film. I'm nitpicking right now. You know, and it's just fun to do. I loved the aerial shot where they finally find the ant colony, and you see that one ant, and he's got the rib cage in his mouth, you know, and at some point he kicks the rib cage out, and you see it roll down, and then you see other bones and skulls, and then you see the gun belt of the cop, you know, that was left at Gramps Johnson's store. Beautiful. That was really, really cool. So yeah, this is a great movie. This is a 9. 9, yeah, solid 9. This movie. You know what? I don't think I rated Thing from Another World yesterday, but it's a 10. In case you had any doubt, it's a 10. This is a 9. Love it. All right, let's say good morning to everybody on this bonus day. Creative Faye is the first in the room. Good morning. Dr. Mask is here. He says, hail. JP Roca asks his eternal question, what's good? I said this movie. Dr. Mask's bonus content's always good. Chris Thacker is here. Dennis Rodriguez. Venom Bite. He's on time. He says he watched Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Evil Dead 2, Monster Squad, and Vampire Hunter last night. Wow, you got a lot of movies in. Man of War 665, Neighbor of the Beast is here. He says, hail amigos. He's got a nice little glass of bourbon there. Nice. Marcus Kelligrew watched Bride of Frankenstein on TCM in my hotel room last night. Very cool. Dennis Rodriguez says them are blue-haired whales. Today, yeah. Chris Thacker says, where's Hank Pym when you need him? Yeah, really. He could have just sent a message to these guys to say, hey, stand down. Maybe that's how they knew the ants were in the stratosphere. Hank Pym was riding one of them, you know, on Iron Man's back or something. The Normie Nerd is here. He says, good morning. I guessed The Creature Walks Among Us. Ah, that would have been a good guess. Creative Face says, it's been years since she's seen them. I'm making an assumption with Faye that it's a she. But in today's world, I guess I shouldn't make that assumption. Man of War says, in my neck of the woods, a month getting 32 days is called Legnia. I don't know. Marcus says, they, them is scarier. That's true. And we should take maybe a Tommy gun to that too. It worked for them. Maybe it'll work for they, them. Oh, so mean-spirited. You're such a mean-spirited person, Nolan. Dragon Dancer, the pharmacist, recommends Prevagen. Oh, got no trick-or-treaters again this year. Oh, man. We had probably about 30 kids. It's way down. When my girls were young, they used to bring them in by minivan and drop them off in our neighborhood. We had tons and tons of kids, but now as the neighborhood is aged, we don't have a lot. We go through so much less. We buy less candy every year, and we always end up with candy left over. But there are some places in town where, like on the street, a street called Oakwood, you got a whole bunch of houses that do up these gigantic displays. One guy was an engineer at Fisher Price, and he built this giant spider that comes sliding down and stuff. And so, it's kind of like they're taking the kids to Disney World, so you can't compete with that. But that's all right. It means I don't have to get up as much when I'm watching my movie. Yikes, Man of War says our neighborhood has been trick or treat dead zone since Katrina. That'll be 20 years next August. Jeez. All things Monster are here at compasscomics.com. You can get to the latest campaigns, and you can order back issue books too. Yes, Leonard Nimoy is in this movie. That's the TS. That's top secret. That's his line, he says. He's got to explain. Top secret. It's kind of like one of the lines that Robert Cornthwaite had in Matinee. Like every time he would say something and use sort of a long word or a acronym, he would have to explain it, which is hysterical. Oh, yes, that's very TS. That's top secret. That's great. Hyper Kaiju is here. Marcus Kelligrew says, Hail Tom Tuttle's Traveling Salvation Show. Thanks for saving EVS. Oh, Lord. Quote of the day from Rob Fellows. And I thought today was the end of them. James Arness didn't know about the bonus show. That's right. Have I ever seen Eight-Legged Freaks? It's a fun giant spider movie. No, I haven't. Hyper Kaiju says Beast from 20,000 Fathoms. That was my second movie I started watching last night after them. But it was so nice here. It was very, very unusual for Western New York. It had to be 70 degrees last night. By the time we finished our movie, it was windy. It was very breezy. But Julie and I went outside and sat in the patio for a little bit, kind of listened to the leaves blow around and all that. It was so comfortable. Today, not so much. We're back into the normal 50s. It's damp and the wind is blowing, and so it's definitely a whole different day. John Morgan Batneal says the scene where Whitmore and his partner are investigating the wrecked trailer at night with the desert winds blowing sands as one of the most atmospheric and creepy scenes of all time. That is a great scene. Then they find the dude. Oh wait, that's the trailer. When they go over to Gramps Johnson's and they find his little store destroyed, and then they find his body laying down there. That was cool. Yeah, I was commenting to Julie last night. I love that sound effect, that kind of chirping noise that they used for the ants. What? Are you trying to tell us you haven't seen this movie? JP Roca says Joan Weldon, 50s Westerns, Day of the Bad Man. I had a feeling she was in Westerns. A lot of those, former models and stuff, and they were churning out Westerns like crazy in the 50s, ended up there before they had a breakthrough role. And some of them just never do. They just flounder for a little bit and then end up in TV. And then sometimes, they get married, have kids, and their careers are over. Delaware Comics Dude says, such a classic, big film. Past Master Dan says, early bonus day. Well, this was our usual time up until this year, and it's going to go back to this time, the morning show, to start your day. Sing it, Sinatra. Proof you don't need gore to make a good horror monster movie. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, today, when James Whitmore gets caught in the mandibles, they'd have probably had, the two halves going in half. Oh wow, Creative Face. Just got to watch this movie again. Last time she saw it, she was in single digits. Where he maybe clarify for me, Creative Faye. He or she? 200 Watt Studios for a $5 super chat. Thank you. You're not going with us. Yes, I am. Who's going to make the coffee? Nothing sexist there. JP Roca watched Bride of Frankenstein last night. Oh, that's right. Creative Faye. I forgot that this was your handle. My bad. That's the thing, you could get everybody's got handles, not their real names. So sometimes it gets confusing. 200 Watt Studio is back with another super chat. James Cameron took the idea of the abandoned girl for Newt and the aliens. You see a lot of that going around the internet where they're showing you these sequences from them and from aliens, and they're trying to draw a correlation that all these shots were ripped off from. I don't see them. I think they're cherry picked, to be honest. Everything comes from something. If you want to talk about Alien as a franchise, then you have to look at It, the Terror from Beyond Space, which Ridley Scott used scenes like when Dallas is in the air ducts, and the monster's coming from a different direction, and all that. That's in It, the Terror from Beyond Space too. Some of it is homage. Some of it is just blatant. They liked it and nobody will notice it. But I don't think the whole connection of aliens and them is real. I think it was cherry picked, unless Cameron tells us differently. I give him give him credit for not doing that. Dr. Mass says, first year my son didn't go trick-or-treating. He's 16. The one kid he was hanging with thought it wasn't cool. I think he was a bit disappointed. Yeah, you get to a point and, you want to, but some of the kids are trying to be too cool for school and they don't want to anymore. And it's a shame. It's like that's when childhood ends almost. Past Master Dan says, I was 14 my last trick or treat. I was man-sized by then. I do not. $200 Watt Studio is back again. Thank you. Beast has Lee Van Cleef with a grenade launcher. I picked my teeth with them. Yeah. It's also got Ken Toby. It's Cecil Calloway. I love that movie. That's my favorite Harryhausen film. The sequence where the Beast comes up on the and tears down the lighthouse. The way it's silhouetted and lit is very evocative, and it, the stop motion never looked better in any of the movies, probably because it was black and white, and you could light it and make it look more realistic than the color. When you're having a puppet, when you're adding color to it, they never looked quite as real as the black and white creatures. Aviator Surge says, good morning, sunshine. Good morning. Hyper Kaiju says so many good 50s monster movies. Does anyone want coffee scenes? Yeah. One of my I love speaking of It, the Terror from Beyond Space. There's a few things in there that crack me up. One is that there's these women on the ship, and they're physicists and doctors, and me, but when it comes to dinner time, they're the ones clearing the plates while the guys are smoking cigarettes and they're pouring coffee and everything, and they're just as accomplished as the men, and they're they're it's so sexist back in the day that they're expected to do that, and you're smoking in a purified air atmosphere. And the other thing is, they got 45 strapped around them and a bazooka on there. It's like, what the hell did you think you were going to encounter in space? And you're shooting these things inside a spacecraft. If you shot a 45 in an airplane at 30,000 feet, you'd depressurize, and here they are blasting away with a 45 inside a spaceship. That always cracked me up. Alien also borrowed from Planet of the Vampires. Yeah, I did that show, I think last year. It was last year or 2 years ago. That was another disappointing one. Great premise, some really cool visuals, but that one was a disappointment. Dr. Mass says, still time to back Joe Frankenstein, The Eye of Ra. He's not wrong. You should see the artwork for that. You should see it. Go to Anthony Gonzalez Clark's page on X. Go to the campaign page and see some of his pages there. Go to my X page. I've been sharing them too. It's freaking amazing. He's really killing it. Yeah, make me a sandwich. Yeah, and go figure after you make me the sandwich, do the calculations for proper re-entry. Venom Bite says, have I watched The Lighthouse? I have not. Now that 31 days is over, I'll have more time to catch some things, that are off the beaten path. Get back to watching some Westerns and, and check out new movies that are out. There's another coffee theme. I love in The Thing from Another World. They wake the guys up on the plane to give them coffee. Coffee and cigarettes, man. That's what kept everybody going back then. Yeah, mine neither. She's a tea girl. JP says Planet of the Vampires was last year. It all blurs together. How do I go about picking the movies for the month? Throughout the year, as I'm scrolling around, researching different kinds of movies, because if I've seen a movie, I go into IMDb and I look in the trivia stuff. Sometimes it says, if you like this, you should try that. Recommendations from chat and people I know say, oh, for next year, you ought to do this. Then I'll look it up and check on it. So that's pretty much, early on, I just chose them because I loved them. But now I've been doing it so long, I have to expand it because I've covered all of those. So that's why we have a whole lot of new movies that come in that I have not seen, that I'm watching for the first time with you guys. That was either recommended or I came across, it sounded cool, that kind of thing. Kino Reviews is here. He says, good morning. Good morning, Kino. Dabs Greer. Yeah, he's in it. He's in It, the Terror from Beyond Space. But then again, he is in every movie, even the ones where you don't see him. Yeah, Dabs Greer is whenever I see him, all I remember him from as a kid was The Adventures of Superman. He was in a couple episodes of that. My mom had a sip and smoke coffee cup ashtray combo. Had a little coaster attached to the ashtray to put the cup on. Oh, that's wild. I've seen bourbon glasses that have a cigar rest on them, which is kind of cool. That makes sense. All right, guys. This will officially wrap up. You must have to cross-check if you've used a movie on the show before. Yeah, I go into YouTube, and I'll end up putting all the stuff into a playlist, into the 31 Days playlist. And then when I can do a search, like if I come across a movie that I think I should do, I can go into my YouTube page and do a, type in the title, and if it pops up, then I know I did it. If it doesn't, then I know I'm good. So I've had to do that. There was a couple that I had handwritten on my list for this year. And then when I went in and found I could do that, I realized, oh shit, I did that one. Can anyone remember the 50s monster movie seen on TV in Piranha? I'm trying to remember what it was. I know I commented on it when I was watching it. Shoot, I don't remember now. If you guys, if you can describe the scene, what you saw, I might be able to remember it. Yeah, that'll keep you busy. Going through the 31 Days of Monsters playlist. Yes, I love the episode of Superman where Dabbs was on death row. Yeah, that's a good one. I love that show. The Adventures of Superman. That's, people love Christopher Reeve, but George Reeves to me, will always be Superman. In my mind, And I've said this before, I think Superman is a much cooler character when he's the only Superman on the planet. There's no Justice League, there's nobody from Krypton. He really is the last son of Krypton. That made him special too. Now you got a whole city in Kandor, you got a dog, you got a girl, a cousin, it just happens to be a cousin too. All that stuff kind of dilutes it, I think. It looked like Black Scorpion, but maybe the monster. Yeah, I think it was the monster that challenged the world. That was one of my favorites as a kid. I remember my brother and I watching that on Thriller Theater for the first time. And when the parachute guy in the very beginning, and the Navy goes out to find him, and he comes up from the surface from the water and is bobbing, and his head is all desiccated. It's like, you look at it now and the makeup is like, yeah, but when you're a kid watching that, you're like, oh wow, that's so cool. Never saw the movie, but here to support. Well, thank you, Brian, but you got to go see them. It is a classic. It's an excellent, excellent movie. Really great. All right, gang, I have to get Pumpkin over to daycare. She goes every other week and plays with other doggies and blows off some steam because she's for a basset hound, she's got a lot of energy. So I want to thank you guys for another successful 31 Days of Monsters. And thank you for the bonus episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And we'll be seeing you on the landing party, on the professionals, and on the Kings, and on anything else that I end up streaming about. There's going to be some streams coming up about things that are going to be added to the Escape from Monster Island campaign soon. So I hope you guys will check that out, back those projects and back independent comics. And we will see you somewhere down the line. Have a great day. Bye-bye.